Nazi Book Burning by Jack Smith, Morgan Burbank, and Anna Gepner. A mustachio. Ever thought about what drove intellectuals to burn books in Germany during 1933? Let's talk about what happened and why. While universities usually serve as institutions for enlightenment, free thinking, and knowledge, many in Germany during the 1930s became propaganda strongholds for restrictive nationalism and narrowing points of view. Basically, the Nazis were taking over. One of these places, Wilhelm Humboldt University in Berlin, Germany, was established in 1810. During 1933 and 1934, the Nazis fired approximately 250 of the university's employees and professors. Students that were either Jewish or against Nazi propaganda were also rejected from the university, leading the way for the narrowing on views and information. As stated in an article by the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum, on May 10, 1933 at Wilhelm Humboldt University, students from the National Socialist German Group and teachers from the university rallied with German Nazi propaganda to burn thousands of books as they felt none of them portrayed a true representation of real Germans, as in their way of life, physical characteristics, and or their beliefs. The only knowledge worth propagating was that which held steadfast to their own belief system. Anything that deviated from it had to be destroyed and, in this case, burned. This event was an effort to glorify Nazi ideology. Further documented by the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum, students sang the Nazi anthem and displayed the Hitler arms salute while tossing books into the fire. Nearly 20,000 volumes were destroyed. Some of the authors of the books included were Albert Einstein, Sigmund Freud, Helen Keller, and Karl Marx. Joseph Goebbels, who was, at the time, a very influential person regarding Nazi propaganda, wanted to eradicate all un-German arts, culture, and literature in order to bring Nazi ideology to the forefront of all Europe. Author Daniel Siegel explains in the biography he wrote about Goebbels how he was also one of the ringleaders of this book-burning event. At the burning, Goebbels declared, "The era of extreme Jewish intellectualism is now at an end. The future German man will not just be a man of books, but a man of character. It is to this end that we want to educate you, as a young person, to already have the courage to face the pitiless glare, to overcome the fear of death and regain respect for death. This is the task of this young generation. And thus you do well in this midnight hour to commit to the flames the evil spirit of the past. This is a strong, great, and symbolic deed, a deed which should document the following for the world to know. Here, the intellectual foundation of the November Democratic Republic is sinking to the ground, but, from this wreckage, the phoenix of a new spirit will triumphantly rise." The day of the official Nazi book burning, U.S. newspaper The New York Times published an article writing about how the educational system of Germany had to change, so that it followed German authority. German nationalists disagreed, though that didn't quell the negative light the topic received around the world, more specifically in the United States. The United States was and still is a place of tolerance, freedom, and enlightenment, completely contrary to what Germany was propagating. The book burnings had a widespread effect in the States and caused demonstrations in cities like New York and Chicago. According to another article documented by the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum, in Germany, many artists, writers, and other intellectuals living there at the time left, prompted by the barbarity of the book burnings and continued acts of Nazi persecution. In memory of the books that were burned on May 10th, there is now a lit glass-covered room underground with white shelves to represent an empty library. Across from the room, there is a plaque that reads, "Where they burn books, at the end, they also burn people." Sometimes life imitates art, or at the very least, interesting connections can be found. Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451, adapted by Tim Hamilton, is a thrilling story about a dystopian society where books are also burned. It isn't until the main character, Guy Montag, meets a girl named Clarice McHelen, who breaks through the societal norms and ends up endangering the city. In both situations, authorities were not in favor of open access to knowledge because of certain concepts that disrupted their own. Both parties solved this problem by burning books, although there were different reasons for why the books were burned. Both book burnings happened for power, but the Nazi book burnings were more specifically about religion and the proposed German belief system. In summary, the Nazi book burnings caused a major ideological shift in Germany that connects to Fahrenheit 451 because they were both similar ways to obtain complete power through the destruction of knowledge. Both parties used fire in an attempt to diminish literature that opposed the idea of authority. In addition, they both used propaganda to persuade the civilians that they were improving their lives as well as their society. I'd love to stay and chat, but I really must dash.